How far would you go for love? No, seriously, if the person you love was captured, tortured, and held in a place no one has ever escaped from, would you burn down the world to get them back? That's exactly the kind of question the War of Two Queens throws at you from the first page. And trust me, once you step into this story, there's no turning back. Now picture this, a kingdom in chaos. A woman on fire, literally and metaphorically. Her name is Poppy. Once a maiden, meant to be seen and not heard, now a queen, ruthless, passionate, and unshakable in her love. But the thing is, love in this world? It doesn't come clean. It comes dripping in blood, in secrets, in the kind of betrayals that leave scars deep under the skin. And the man at the center of it all? Castile. Her husband. Her king. Her everything. He's been taken by the blood crown, and what they do to their prisoners, let's just say it's not something you ever walk away from the same. If you even walk away at all. Now here's what's fascinating. Poppy isn't just fighting for Castile. She's not just a woman in love on a mission. She's something else entirely. A being of power so ancient, even the gods don't fully understand her. She's learning to control it, to wield it, but more importantly, she's learning what it means to rule. Not just a kingdom, but a legacy. And when you've got that kind of fire inside you, people notice. Enemies tremble. Allies hesitate. And the lines between friend and foe start to blur real quick. But let me tell you something surprising. This war? It's not just about swords and bloodshed. It's about ideologies. About who gets to decide what's right. Who gets to rewrite the history that shaped their world. The Blood Crown isn't just cruel, they're strategic. They've ruled through manipulation, through fear, and through something even more dangerous than armies, belief. They've twisted entire societies with the idea that certain people, like Poppy, should never have existed in the first place. That she's a threat, a monster, a mistake. And the scary part? Some people believe it. Even Poppy, sometimes. This is where things get really interesting. Because while Poppy is rallying her people, trying to unite fractured kingdoms and prepare for a war that will change everything, they're not all on the same page. Some of them are scared of her. Some of them want to use her. And some want her dead. So imagine leading an army when half your own side doesn't trust you. That's the tightrope Poppy walks every single day. And yet she doesn't falter. Not really. Because her love for Castile, her belief in freedom, that's her anchor. That's what keeps her from losing herself to the chaos. Now there's this one scene, you'll know it when you get there, that just cracks your heart open. Poppy, standing before a room full of leaders, demanding they stand with her. Not as a queen barking orders, but as a woman who's bled for them, who's lost for them. And it's not some grand speech with fireworks. It's raw, honest. She talks about what it means to love someone so deeply, you'd rip the world apart to save them. And you know what? That's when they start to believe. Not in her power, but in her heart. But don't think for a second this story lets up. Because while all that's happening, Castile is still in enemy hands. And what they're doing to him, it's not just physical. They're trying to break his mind, twist his memories, use his love for Poppy as a weapon against him. And it works, to a point. Because no matter what they do, there's this unshakable bond between them. A thread of connection that even the darkest torture can't sever. And you feel it, like in your chest. Every time Poppy reaches out through that bond and feels him fading, weakening, but still there. Still fighting. And then, just when you think you've caught your breath, boom, the gods enter the chat. Literally. Because Poppy's not just any queen, remember? She's tied to ancient forces that are awakening, and not all of them are friendly. Some want to help her. Some want to control her. And some? They want her erased. Because if she unlocks her full power, she could rewrite the fate of kingdoms. She could end the very system that's kept the Blood Crown in power for centuries. What do you think happens when someone like that realizes their full potential? When they stop being afraid of their own strength? That's the kind of moment this book builds toward. It's not just action and romance, it's evolution. Watching Poppy step into a version of herself even she didn't know existed. But you know what's wild? Even with all that divine chaos, Even with the threat of all-out war looming, the most powerful moments are still the quiet ones. When Poppy and Castile share memories through their bond. When they dream of the future, of peace, of family, of a life where they're not constantly fighting just to survive. And you realize that's what they're really fighting for. Not a crown, not revenge, but the chance to finally live. Of course, nothing comes easy in this world. Especially not victory. There are betrayals, shocking deaths, choices that will haunt characters for the rest of their lives. And every time you think the story might slow down, it hurls you into another storm. There's a sense of urgency that never lets go. Because everyone knows, this war? It's the beginning of something much bigger. A war between queens, but also between ideologies, between generations, between what was and what could be. And just when you think Poppy's won something, it's taken. Just when she starts to understand her place in this vast, cruel world, it shifts beneath her feet. And it's in those moments, when she stumbles, when she doubts, when she screams at the gods in rage, that you feel closest to her. Because haven't we all had those moments? Where we're doing everything we can, and the world still burns. But Poppy doesn't stop. She doesn't break. And even when she bends, when she falls to her knees, covered in blood and guilt, she rises. Single. Because her love isn't weakness. It's her fuel. Now here's the thing. When someone rises from the ashes over and over again, they stop being just a character. They become a symbol. That's what Poppy turns into. Not just for her people, but for anyone who's ever been told they weren't enough. She's not perfect, not even close. She makes mistakes, big ones. But it's how she owns them, how she learns, that makes her unforgettable. And that's the emotional core of this book. It's not about being fearless. It's about moving forward despite the fear, despite the grief, despite the pain of knowing that not everyone you love is going to make it. And speaking of love, Castile and Poppy's relationship? It's tested in ways most couples can't even imagine. This isn't just about longing or romance anymore. It's about surviving in pieces and trusting the other person to help you put those pieces back together. There are moments so intimate, quiet conversations in the middle of chaos, a hand reached out when the world is falling apart. They hit harder than any battle scene ever could. Because in those moments, you realize, this war is only worth fighting because of the people you fight it with. But the battles? Oh, they're brutal. This isn't a sanitized fantasy where everything works out cleanly. There are choices that leave you breathless. Characters you care about who don't make it. And the consequences? They ripple. Across kingdoms. Across hearts. Across generations. The Blood Crown fights dirty. They use children. They manipulate prophecy. They corrupt love. And still, somehow, Poppy doesn't turn into them. She stays true to herself, even when it would be easier to give in to rage. There's a scene, without spoiling too much, where she stands face to face with someone who's betrayed her deeply. Someone she should kill. And instead of vengeance, she chooses something far more difficult. And you sit there, stunned, because in that one moment, she redefines what it means to be powerful. Anyone can destroy, but it takes unimaginable strength to choose compassion. And you start to see how the title, The War of Two Queens, isn't just about Poppy and the Blood Queen. It's about two ways of ruling, two ways of living. One built on control, fear, legacy. The other built on freedom, love, choice. This war? It's personal, but it's also universal. And the closer it gets to its climax, the more you feel the weight of everything that's come before. The lies, the sacrifices, the quiet, hopeful moments no one thought would survive. Now, if you're waiting for some kind of neat, tied-up ending, because this story doesn't believe in easy conclusions. It believes in momentum, in evolution, in carrying the past with you even as you fight to shape the future. And by the end, even though the war isn't fully over, something even bigger has begun. A revolution. One led by a woman who was once silenced, and now, her voice is the one that echoes through every heart, every battlefield, every shattered wall. So, what stays with you after the final page? It's not just the magic, or the battles, or even the romance. It's this: no one is just one thing. Not a queen. Not a villain. Not even a god. We are all made of contradictions. Light and shadow. Power and pain. And sometimes, the real victory is simply surviving with your heart intact. Still open. Still willing to fight for something better. And maybe that's the real magic of this book. It doesn't just entertain you. It makes you feel. It makes you question. It makes you believe that even in the darkest war, there's still a place for hope. And that love, real love, the kind that demands everything from you, is always worth it. Feel like you're meant for more, but don't know how to get there? You're not alone. Every success story starts with doubt and a spark. The Self-Made Millionaire, Zero to Wealth isn't just a book. It's your roadmap to purpose, confidence, and success, built on real lessons from real millionaires. One reader said, "It didn't feel like a book. It felt like my future talking to me." Inside, you'll find the exact mindset and principles used by the world's most successful people. No fluff, just real, life-changing wisdom. Ready to take the first step? Get it 100% free. Just subscribe and comment "book" below.